Good evening. Welcome back to Roslyn Court, which is 5 years old this week. Way. So we've got a bit of a chocolate fest going on here. You at home can do whatever you want to do to celebrate with us. But we've got Mossy Christian to help us. Yeah. Now, people at home, if you could, it would be great if you could make a donation. The thing's running along the bottom of the screen, you see it? And what will you win? Well, like all the people here, like the people who join in the chat, you can win either a CD of Mossy's, and there's loads of them. Goodness, there's loads of them. Second prize, of course, a rather special Who Gives a Crap toilet roll that has musical instruments all the way around, which is, I think, fairly good. I mean, you wouldn't want to use that, would you? It would just be for decoration. Great. Okay. So before that, I'm going to sing a song. So you at home, you can go and put the kettle on, or open a bottle of champagne, whatever you're doing to celebrate, and then we'll get Mossy on. Okay. But before that, I would just like to thank the Roslyn Court team, because without them, none of this would happen. So thank you very much. Everybody, please thank you, the team here, because they work really, really hard every week. It's great. Even those that aren't here this week, and they know who they are. Yes. So anyway. My Donald, he works on the sea, on the waves so wild and free. He splices the ropes and sets the sails. southward he rose to the home of the whale. He ne'er thinks of me far behind, nor the torments that rage in my mind. He's mine for only half part of the year. Then I'm left all alone with naught but my fears. You ladies, the smell of wild rose, thank you for your perfume to where a man goes. Of the wives that grieve and the children that yearn for a man not returning from hunting the sperm. Now, last year, not this year, last year at Broadstairs Folk Week, Mossy Christian played at the Sailing Club, Folk Club, and I was so impressed with what he did there, because he was not only impressive, but he was also entertaining, and it's just, I've been trying to get him here ever since. So I'd like to introduce you now to Mossy Christian. Way.
Hello. We all right? Wonderful. I'll start off with a song from my native county of Lincolnshire, and this is the first song that I ever learnt. It has a chorus, so please do join in. Where are you going to, my pretty maid? Where are you going to, my pretty maid? I'm going a milking, sir, she said, sir, she said, sir, she said. Oh, I'm going a milking, sir, she said. Well, might I come with you, my pretty maid? Might I come with you, my pretty maid? Well, yes, if it please, kind sir, she said, sir, she said, sir, she said. Oh, why, yes, if it please, kind sir, she said. Who is your father, my pretty maid? Who is your father, my pretty maid? Me father's the farmer, sir, she said, sir, she said, sir, she said. Oh, my father's the farmer, sir, she said. Well, who is your mother, my pretty maid? Who is your mother, my pretty maid? Me mother's the milkmaid, sir, she said, sir, she said, sir, she said. Oh, my mother's the milkmaid, sir, she said. Then what is your fortune, my pretty maid? What is your fortune, my pretty maid? Me face is me fortune, sir, she said, sir, she said, sir, she said. Oh, my face is my fortune, sir, she said. What is your fortune, my pretty maid? What is your fortune, my pretty maid? Me face is me fortune, so she said, so she said, so she said. Oh, my face is my fortune, so she said. Then I cannot marry you, my pretty maid. I cannot marry you, my pretty maid. Well, nobody asked you to, so she said, so she said, so she said. Oh, well, nobody asked you to, so she said. Thank you. Very much. I'll play with a set of tunes now. This tune is a tune that, again, I've known for a very long time, and it comes from a manuscript of dance tunes from Lincolnshire. We have quite a few different tune manuscripts. This comes from one of the oldest. It's from the Joshua Gibbons manuscript. And Joshua Gibbons was a papermaker who lived in Tealby, and he used to write down these tunes on the margins of his paper. The Lincolnshire Wolds, Tealby, is very near Louth, and there were two tunes in that book, one of which was called The Quickstep from Louth, and the other of which was called The Louth Quickstep. And they are two completely different tunes, and this is The Quickstep from Louth. for this next one, I've had a request. Indeed. It was a gig in Louth, actually, a couple of weeks ago, Louth Folk Club, and they requested that I sing it down here instead. The week before Easter, the morning shone clear, the larks in the valleys and clean blue the air. I went down to the forest to gather wildflowers, but the forest would yield me no roses. The rose, it is red, the leaves, they are green, the bushes bright, a pleasure to be seen. Well, I once loved a girl, she said I was her man. Now she's gone all away with another. The next time I saw me love, she was dressed all in white, made me eyes run with the water, fair dazzled my sight. For I once loved a girl, she said I was her man. Now she's gone to be wed to the other. The parson who married them right loud, he does cry. All those who forbid it, I'll have you draw nigh. Well, I thought to myself, I've a good reason why, but I had not the heart to forbid it. And the last time I saw me love, she did in the church stand, her gloves coming off, his ring in his hand. I threw down me hat and I bid them good night. Is adieu to all false-hearted lovers. So dig me a grave, dig it long, wide and deep, and lay the wild roses at my head and my feet. I'll go lay me down and I'll take the long sleep, for that's the best way to forget her. Thank you. I tend to learn the songs in particular that I sing directly from traditional musicians, as you might term them, or from field recordings. But this is one of the few that I've learnt from a book. And this is a very wonderful book, and it was a young lady who lived in North Yorkshire, in Robin Hood's Bay, in the late 1700s. She was called Margaret Morsum,
and she wrote down the words to various songs that she knew. And these were rediscovered a few years ago, and there's some sort of fairly standard things that you would expect, and there's also some really rather unusual things. And this one is the only version of this song I've ever found. So firstly, there's the quite exciting possibility that she herself might have written it. And secondly is the even more exciting possibility that the story it relates might in fact be true.
Between Whitby and Scarborough lies a Robin Hood's Bay, and there dwelt a fair lady so handsome and gay. Her countenance pleasant, her courage so gay, for she was the lady of a Robin Hood's Bay. 3 children she had, and 3 handsome ones too. They resembled their mother all over their brood. Their countenance pleasant, their courage so gay, for she was the lady of Robin Hood's Bay. Her husband to Greenland did sail, away always sailed to Greenland in search of a whale, for to bring her back riches to dress her so gay, for she was the lady of Robin Hood's Bay. Well, a lover she had, he had riches in store, and though she had some riches, she wanted some more. And a lover went out without locking his door, so she has crept in as she's oft done before. She looked all around her to see what was best. She soon fixed her eyes on a fine silver chest. She picked it up nimbly and took it away, singing, "I'll be the lady of Robin Hood's Bay." Her lover, out walking, returned to his house. He expected to find it as snug as a mouse. But the case was soon altered, and he found to his fate that he had lost all of his fine silver plate. He stamped and he swore and he kicked up a rout like a mad ratty creature that you would hunt out. A reward he did offer if it could be found. To whoever would help him, he'd give them £10. The lady, she heard and she thought out a knack. Says she, "The reward'll be mine in a crack." So she goes to her lover and to him did say, "I'll find you the silver if the money you'll pay." Well, he paid down the money, so she took up the nelt. Says she to her lover, "I took it myself." Well, straight away to the justice he's took her away to have her transported to Botany Bay. Straight way to the justice he's took her away to have her transported that very same day. But when they came to them, why the lady did say, "He gave me that silver, my music to play." Well, the justice, he called him a fool for his pains. I'll have nought more to do with your losses or gains. So she got both the silver and the money, they say. She's Yorkshired him well in Robin Hood's Bay. It's of a merchant's daughter who in Lincoln town did dwell. So modest, fair and handsome, her parents loved her well. She was admired by lord and squire, but all their thoughts were vain. For only a constant farmer's son young Mary's heart could gain. Long time this young man courted her and fixed their wedding day. Their parents all consented, but her brothers both did say, there is a Lord, he's pledged his word, and she shall not him shun. We will betray and then we'll slay the constant farmer's son. A fair was held not far from town, these brothers went straightway. And in this young man's company they asked to spend the day. But Mark returning home again, they swore his race was run. And with a stake the life did take of that constant farmer's son. This young girl, she lay in her bed, she had a dreadful dream. She dreamt she saw his body laying by a crystal stream. So she arose, put on her clothes, to seek her love did run. There dead and pale, in yonder vale, lied her constant farmer's son. But hunger, it came creeping on, and the poor girl shrieked with woe. To go and find his murderers, she straightway home did go. Oh, parents dear, you soon shall hear, a dreadful deed is done. In yonder vale lies dead and pale my constant farmer's son. Up spake her eldest brother, and he said, it is not me. Indeed, replied the younger one, and swore most bitterly. But Mary said, don't turn so red, nor try the laws to shun. For you've done the deed, and you must bleed for my constant farmer's son. These brothers, soon they owned their guilt, and for the same did die. Young Mary, fair in deep despair, has never ceased to cry. The parents, they did fade away, the glass of life did run. Young Mary cried, and in sorrow died, for her constant farmer's son. Constant farmer's son. That is one of the few big ballads that I sing, I think, that has a 100% mortality rate. Normally you can expect a bit of death and misery, but every single person mentioned is a little extreme. That was, there's lots of different names for that song. I know it as The Constant Farmer's Son, or Mary Had a Ploughboy. Mary Had a Ploughboy is actually a completely different storyline to exactly the same tune about a young woman called Mary and a ploughboy, so that's
not very helpful, but it was collected by a chap called Morris Ogg, known as Moog, who was a collector in North Lincolnshire and the East Riding of Yorkshire in the 1970s. And he went around collecting quite a bit with a friend of mine called Jim Eldon. And I sing a few songs that Jim collected, and this isn't one of them. It has a chorus which you can all join in with. It goes, waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day when we get our pay.
Listen up, friends, while I do tell all about the good old Humber Bell. Waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day we get our pay. That's your bit. Waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day we get our pay. Wonderful. One day from Harwich we set sail, the wind were blowing up a devil of a gale. Waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day we get our pay. Now she's out of Cromer Cliff, she's running like a wagon with a wheel adrift. Waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day we get our pay. Down the Humber, on the town, pump your buggers, pump or drown. Waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day we get our pay. Now we're round in Flamborough Head, we wish that we were still in bed. Waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day we get our pay. In South Shields with a drunken crew, the coal hit the bottom and it went right through. We're still waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day we get our pay. That's all, friends, that I can tell, all about the good old Humber Bell. Waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day we get our pay.
Brilliant, brilliant stuff. I'm just going to interrupt for one moment and I'm going to speak to the people at home to say, if you can at all, if you could possibly donate to this, the putting on of this event, it would be absolutely marvellous. Now, how much should I donate, you're asking me? Well, I will tell you. I think that Mossy is playing quite a lot of really quite subtle instruments here, and there's been some questions about what you're playing, so... what I think he needs is something a bit more sort of, so I think if you sent the equivalent of kazoo, which I think would go down well. You know, a bit of oomph in your set. A fiver would be lovely. Thank you very much. That's my suggestion. Okay. Now, for the people at home, where can they get one of these amazing amount of CDs that you have here?
Well, my CDs are available from my website, which is rather conveniently mossychristian.co.uk. I have an equivalent Bandcamp page, so you can go on there and you can buy a download if you wish. The other good place to check for all of my CDs and lots of others is the record label One Row Records, and their website is onerowrecords.co.uk.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Carry on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How many more? Quarter past.
I'll come with the raffle just after that number 5.
Wonderful.
As I was bound apprenticeship to a firm in Lincolnshire, full well I served me master for more than 7 years, till I took up to poaching, as quickly you shall hear, for it's my delight on a shiny night in the seasons of the year. As me and my companions were setting up a snare, 'twas there we spied a gamekeeper, for him we did not care. For we can wrestle and fight, me boys, get over anywhere. And it's my delight on a shiny night in the seasons of the year. As me and my companions was taking up that snare, I caught a hare alive, me boys, I caught a hare alive. I threw her over me shoulder, and then I trudged her home, and I sold her for a crown, me lads, but I'm not gonna tell you where. Lincolnshire Poacher.
Thank you. That was a version of the Lincolnshire Poacher, which is probably the most famous folk song to come out of Lincolnshire. But that version was a bit different, so I rather like it. That was one that Jim collected up in East Yorkshire, actually, but a very strong Lincolnshire connection. This one is one of the first songs collected in Lincolnshire, and it was collected by a chap called Percy Granger, who went round with his wax phonograph, collecting from the old boys in North Lincolnshire in 1904, 5, 6. And he met a chap called Joseph Taylor. And Joseph Taylor sang him several songs. He sang him Creeping Jane, Brig Fair, things like that. But he also sang him this one. And this is a true story. It's a set of real-life events, most of them actually happened, that happened in Polstead in Suffolk. Some of you will already know where I'm going with this now. And as was common at the time, it was published onto a broadside ballad. It became one of the most popular ever selling broadside ballads. They sold over 4 million copies of this story, which, especially considering the size of the literate population and the size of the population in total back then, must have made it a very, very common knowledge story. And so the broadside had lots of great big verses and dramatic bits added. Joseph Taylor, by the time we get to the early 1900s, he's managed to distill the entire story down into just 3 verses. And he manages to tell the entire thing in just that short amount of time. I've been back to some of the broadsides and I've put in extra verses, so you get a slightly fuller picture of the story. And this is the events that occurred in the red barn.
My name it is William Hollander, the truth I do declare. I courted Maria Martin, beautiful and fair. If you go down to the red barn as sure as I have life, I'll take you away to Ipswich town and there make you my wife. But I went home, I fetched me gun, me pickaxe and me spade, and I went down to that red barn and there I dug a grave. With a heart so free, she thought no harm, to meet me she did go. I murdered her in that red barn and laid the body low. That night a mother had a dream, dreamed it 10 nights o'er. Dreamt she saw her daughter lying beneath the red barn floor. Her father with a spade went out and in the ground did thrust. He found his daughter's body laying, mingling with the dust. Come all you thoughtless young men, a warning take by me, for the murder of Maria Martin I'll be hung on the gallows tree. Come all you thoughtless young men, as you just pass me by, for the murder of Maria Martin I'll be hung on the gallows high. It's of an old ewe with only one horn, 15 arming nonny, and she picked out a living among the green corn. So turned the wheel round to Bonnie. One day the pinder, he said to his man, "Whoa, there me Johnny, I would that don't peck to hold you if you can." So turn the wheel round to Bonnie. Well, the butcher was sent for to take this ew's life, 15 arming nonny. So in comes the butcher, whetting his knife. So turn the wheel round to Bonnie. Well, by now the old ewe were wetting her pegs. Whoa there, me Johnny. So she ran at the butcher and broke both his legs. So turn the wheel round, Sir Bonny. Well, this young she was sent for to fight for the king. 15 army nonny, she killed horseman and footman just as they come in. So turn the wheel round, Sir Bonny, for it's of an old young we only one on. 15 army nonny, picked out a living among the green corn. So turn the wheel round, Sir Bonny. Told you.
Thank you. As I said, the Red Barn was a true story. It actually happened. We don't know about the dream, but if anybody goes to Bury St Edmunds Guildhall Museum, they have a little case about the incident. They have various copies of the ballad, reports of the time. They have a death mask of William Corder. They have a random pair of dueling pistols that were added to the collection about 100 years after the events actually happened. And they have a copy of the account of his trial and execution bound in his own skin, which was apparently the custom at the time. The executioner could take what he wanted of the deceased's possessions and use them as he wished, including his own skin. That's completely true. I was singing that song at a festival over in the Welsh borders called Festival at the Edge in Kidderminster, I think it was. Clibby Mortimer. And it was still in the years of COVID being more prevalent. So the sides of the marquee were open. And as usually happens, the marquee was filling up from the back and there were still a few seats left on the front row. And I launched into that song. I started singing the first verse. I closed my eyes, and just before I got to the point where he does her in, I opened my eyes, and there were the grinning faces of half a dozen under fives beaming up at me from the front row. And I've never edited a song so quickly on the fly in my life. But in that one, they seemed to live happily ever after, and it was all lovely. I'll play you another set of tunes now. The first one of these is called Mr. Jackson's Delight. And it's a set of tunes that I learnt when I did my first album, which I have over there. And it's another tune from Lincolnshire. This comes from the 1700s, the T.J. Dixon manuscript, I think this one comes from. It's known in the Playford Dancing Master, which is a far more common, more well-known manuscript as, I think that's known as Wakefield Hunt. But in this manuscript, it has an extra third part, and it's acquired a new name of Mr. Jackson's Delight. The second is a tune called As Sure as the Devil's in Lincoln. Lincoln being a wonderful city. Has anybody been to Lincoln? Yeah. Has anybody been to Lincoln Christmas Market? No? Oh, you're one of the very few rooms full of people where no one has ever been to Lincoln Christmas Market, I think. It's this incredibly... it was, actually, for some unknown reason, they've decided that they're going to stop it now because it got too popular. But it was this very big, popular event like the European German Christmas markets. All the tourists came and they spent far too much money on things they didn't need, and it all got very busy. And as anything like that, events that attract a lot of people, it occasionally attracted some people that you might prefer hadn't been attracted to it. And it got in the local papers one time that there'd been a chap there, a pickpocket. And he'd had a very good day picking pockets at the Christmas market. And he went into a pub on Uphill Lincoln on the corner of the castle called the Strugglers Inn, which is a wonderful pub. I can heartily recommend it. And he went in there and he ordered himself a pint. Anna, the landlady at the time, pulled the pint and put the pint on the bar. He reached for his wallet, and it wasn't there. He turned around and he saw this flash leaving the door of the pub, so he left the pint where it was. He chased after, and to his surprise, it was a young woman. And he said, "I am the finest pickpocket in the east of England." He was a very modest fellow, you understand. He said, I am the finest pickpocket in the east of England, and you have just picked my pocket. Who are you? And she said, I am the finest pickpocket in the west of England. He bought her a drink. One thing led to another. 9 months later, they were living together, married, and expecting their first child. Now, they had decided that if he was the finest pickpocket in the east of England, and she was the finest pickpocket in the west of England, then their child must surely be the finest pickpocket in all of the land. But when the baby was born, it had one arm clamped to its chest like that, and they were distraught. They said, how can this child be the finest pickpocket in all of the land if he has a withered arm? And so they picked as many pockets as they could, and they took their child down to Harley Street, the finest doctor they could find. They went in, and the doctor was sat there behind his big marble desk. They explained the complaint of the child, and he sucked his teeth. He tutted, and he wrote them out a quote for the treatment of their child. And it was twice as much as they'd thought, but they knew that this child was going to be the finest pickpocket in all of the land. And so they paid the money. The doctor stood up from behind his chair, and he drew from his waistcoat pocket a gold pocket watch on a chain. And he began to wave this pocket watch backwards and forwards, forwards and backwards, in front of the baby's eyes. And as he did so, the baby's face opened wide with delight. It reached up its arm, and out dropped the midwife's wedding ring.
Oh, Una, you've won the CD. And Sue Robson, you've won the loo roll. Well done. Nobody in the room. I've got to post them. Yeah, good. Excellent. Thank you. One more song, please.
All right. This is a song that I learnt from a chap, a traditional singer. I learnt from the singing of a traditional singer from the west of Yorkshire called Arthur Howard, who was a wonderful singer. Jepson Brown were worn-out clown, but a careful clown he'd been. He'd saved enough to open a pub somewhere on Bethnal Green. And when he thought of the tricks by which he'd earned his daily bread, well, now and then when a mood came on, he'd stand up on his head, and the people shouted out, oh my, how the people they did stare, for there was Brown upside down with his legs kicking right up in the air. That's your bit, let's try again. And the people shouted out, how the people they did stare, for there was Brown upside down with his legs kicking right up in the air. Now, next door neighbour to Mr. Brown lived a widow, Mrs. Birch. Well, he asked her out, she answered yes, so they toddled off to church. Do you promise to love and obey this man? The worthy parson said. Well, she laughed and smiled, for there was Brown standing on his head, and the people shouted out, how the people they did stare, for there was Brown upside down with his legs kicking right up in the air. Now, 9 months later, a child was born to the great delight of Brown. It was the image of himself, a regular little clown. And when this child were 12 months old, it clambered out of bed, and to the nurse's great surprise was standing on his head, and the people shouted out, how the people they did stare, for there was Brown upside down with his legs kicking right up in the air, and the people shouted out, how the people they did stare, for there was Brown upside down with his legs kicking right up in the air. Jepson Brown, thank you.
Mossy Christian, brilliant. Thank you very much. Well, that's more or less the end of the live stream for us, except to thank Mossy and also the team here, Andrew and Roger and Grace, who's done the sound. Brilliant. This is the first time she's done it, so great. And Phil and Chris, who's running around, and Lizzie in Galashiels doing all the posting and stuff, you know, on the interweb. What's it? It's got to be done, hasn't it? Yeah. And look, ta-da! Happy birthday to Roslyn Court. Happy birthday to you. Hey. Listen, Una, it's not quite up to your standard, I'm afraid, but it's the best I could do. Thank you. Well, everybody will get a bit of that. Okay. Great. Thank you. Okay, so next week is very exciting. We've got nothing on Thursday, but on Sunday, we have James Kerry, Tom Kitching, and Danny Tonks. Yay! For their CD launch. That'll be fantastic. Did you see them at Broadstairs Folk Week? They were great. The following week, we've got Sam Baxter. The following week, we've got Maddie Morris, and then George Sansom and Sophie Crawford. It's going to be such a good November. It's going to be really, really good. And, of course, it's November the 5th next Sunday, so who knows? Who knows? We might have, we'll go with a bang, exactly. Sparklers, it's a good idea, eh? Nothing could possibly go wrong. Anyway, so that's what's happening. I'll see you next week for James Kerry, Tom Kitching, and Danny Tonks. Happy birthday to us. We're going to eat cake. You at home, you're free to do whatever you want. And we're going to have a break, then more of this. And see you next week. Thank you very much. My name's Mauro Butler. This is Rosalind Court. See you next week. Bye.